all the numbers herself. So I'm actually going to get her to come on over. Come on over. Stop sitting there at the desk. Come on over and push the big red button. So this is the magic number. It's not going to set off any nuclear warheads.
There we go.
And there we have it. Okay, so these are the figures, Mish, and the gold bars really show you young voters. So those are 18 and 19-year-olds, and then your 22, 29-year-olds. And we did a quick calculation, add all of these up together. That's 5.5 million registered voters off roughly out of 27 million. If you had the extra 6 million who did not register, that would take it up to about 11 million young voters, Michelle, and that would be almost a third of the electorate. So that just gives you a sense of how important the youth vote could be if everyone registered. Now, we keep hearing this phrase, don't let someone else determine your future. Well, youngsters who are not registering to vote are basically leaving it to the older people to take the decisions. I mean, take a look at that. Almost 7 million voters in the 30 to 39-year-old age group, and another 5.3 million in the 40 to 49-year age group. So they're letting the old bullies take all the decisions, which I'm sure most young people would not appreciate. So just some important figures giving you a sense of why it's so important for young people to get out there and register, and not just register, Michelle, but also go out and vote themselves.
So, Mike, the reason why you're talking about this show 1, show 2, show 3, and so on, these are marked data numbers that we've been looking into as we built up to elections.
Absolutely. And what this sentiment graph is all about is we asked people, or marked data asked people, what exactly is the reason you support a particular party. And when you see this red bar and you see this green bar, I really want to ask you to focus on that, and we're going to take you through the different parties and give you a different sense of what is motivating people. So this is across the board, 47% of South African respondents saying they really support a party because they believe in its values, they believe in its principles, and around about 19% saying it's a tradition, it's something that their mother or their father did or their family does, and they believe in it for that reason. So the average in terms of principle, about 47%, 19%.
I'm not sure how we should feel about that number, 46, around 47% actually voting on the basis of principle. I thought that number would be much higher.
Indeed, and you can see a lot of people appear to be confused. I mean, take a look at that, 14%. I don't really have confidence. I can't think of anybody
look at
else
this number
to vote
over here.
for.
Uncertain of who to vote for, 9.1%. That number, if you go on social media trends, you'd also think would be much higher. We're talking to so many people on the ground who are saying, I'm in the election queue, even I'm standing in the booth, I'm about to make my mark, and I'm literally going through the ballot paper trying to think of who appeals to me.
Yeah, absolutely. For many, it's a last-minute decision. But this is interesting, Michelle. We're going to have to see.
Since I'm here.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. Oh,
did I do something
there we
wrong?
go, we got it. We're going to have to see if this number changes, because the ANC traditionally has been firmly entrenched in that culture of my parents voted for the party, I'm going to vote for the party. It has a long struggle history. So there, for instance, you see that figure in terms of the traditional votes surging up to 22%. There is a strong belief system behind it, though. 55% for the ANC saying that they support the party because of its principles.
Yeah. So altogether, we can say around 77% of people either voting for the ANC merely because it's used to voting for it. It's done so in past elections. Or because it truly believes in its principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, let's take a look at the DA.
Yeah, and so slightly less in terms of the principles, roughly the same in terms of tradition. Of course, the DA has been around in various forms for around about 20 years, Michelle. So there has been something of a culture and tradition, particularly in the Western Cape, for example. So perhaps not surprising that that number is where it is. But this is going to be interesting. Let's take a look at the EFF. Take a look at the green bar. Of course, the EFF only around for 5 years, so not the same sort of culture, the same sort of tradition. And perhaps that's why we're seeing that figure over there. And also what's
very close, those red numbers, believing in its principle, very close between the three parties.
That is very close, and a lot of people will say they believe in its principles. We did ask them a whole range of other questions, the researchers at Market Data, and what sort of seemed to come out when it came to the EFF was there's a lot of identification association with the style of the party, the fact that it's anti-establishment, not necessarily the nitty-gritty of some of the policies. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out at the polls.
Yeah, one wonders whether people have actually read manifestos to the extent of, if you want to make your decision on where to make your mark, do you go and read party manifestos? Do you try and do the research that is necessary before you go into the voting booth on voting day?
Yeah, lots of people, of course, saying that they have read manifestos and they still don't know who to vote for.